What is up, guys? Crunch Games here, and today I am bringing you my week 2 battle for the BDL season 3 against Josh Alls and his Brooklyn Blastoise. So first things first, I have to address some things. One of those being, I apologize for getting this video up late. It was supposed to go up on Tuesday, but I didn't end up recording it until yesterday, and then by the time I finished editing it and making a thumbnail, I could get it up today. So next week we will resume the original scheduling for Tuesdays, but also I have a new league starting called the UPCL. I'm gonna try to start uploading those videos on Friday. It's gonna be a stretch for this week since the draft just ended, but hopefully we will get those videos up and rolling soon, and I also have another series in the works, so be on the lookout, guys. We have a lot more coming to the channel. Now that being said, let's get right into the battle. So Josh Alls is Mega Heracross, Tapu Fini, Silvally, Araquanid, Decidueye, Miltank, Torracat, Koopa Unbound, Gligar, and Indeedee. So he has a relatively slow team, but there is a lot of defensive presence in Araquanid and Gligar, which I needed to deal with for Scolipede, and Silvally as well, depending on the type, walled Scolipede, so I had to be on the lookout for that. So as you guys can see, I decided to bring Primeape, Scolipede, Victini, Swellow, Lycanroc, and Starmie. I don't remember the exact sets as I see because I lost the team itself, but Primeape was mainly for in case the Torracat came, and Ice Sponge for Gligar, and then overall coverage. Scolipede, it swept his team after Gligar and Araquanid were gone, and I think with a +2 he was able to 2-hit KO or 3-hit KO Miltank, because Miltank couldn't 2-hit KO or 3-hit KO me in return. Victini just hit hard in general. Swellow dealt with the Araquanid and it cleaned up by itself. Lycanroc Dusk, this thing was mainly for rocks because I needed rocks to chip down the Hoopa Unbound, because that, to me, that was the biggest threat on his team. So I brought it and I EV'd it so that if it was a Choice Scarf variant, Choice Scarf Jolly, I was able to live one Drain Punch on 1%, and then I knock it out in return with a Play Rough. So those were the two reasons I brought that, and then finally I brought the Starmie mainly just for the Gligar in case Primeape couldn't deal damage, as well as Rapid Spin for the webs and rocks. So that being said, let's get right into the battle. So before we get into the first turn, I'm thinking here he can either go Araquanid for webs, Silvally to Parting Shot, or Gligar to get up the Stealth Rocks. So either way, I'm thinking if I go Swellow, I can either U-turn out or go for the Brave Bird on the Araquanid. So that's exactly what I decide to do. So turn 1, he goes into the Gligar instead. So here I'm thinking, oh man, I can't really do much. So I just decide to go for the U-turn, nice chip, and I decide to go into Starmie because I'm predicting the Stealth Rocks, and I can easily Rapid Spin the way, which is what he goes for, so I got that call right. Now here, I'm thinking there's no point in really switching out because I can just get the Rapid Spin off which will make sure that I don't take damage on the Scolpede or Victini or the Swellow, which is like, it's a yikes. So I needed these off the field. So I despite knowing that the Hoopa was gonna come in, I needed to go for the Rapid Spin. So that's exactly what I ended up doing. Now here, no, I know I can't stay in on the Hyperspace Fury, because he, like, if he stays in, or at least the way he came in, I figured he was Choice Scarf. So I'm expecting the Hyperspace Fury. So I decided to go out and take the hit with Primate, which is what happens. I get down to 57. Here, I'm not exactly sure why he switched out, and I'm not exactly sure why I stayed in, but I just decide to go for the close combat because I know he's locked into Hyperspace Fury, and to be honest, he could have stayed in to take the hit, but as you guys will see, he decides to go just directly into Torcat, and because of the Intimidate boost, I get to +1 instead, and we knock out the Torcat for free basically. So I really don't know why he made that switch, to be completely honest, but it ended up benefiting us, and the Torcat was gone, so that's one less mana I have to worry about, which is nice. Now here he goes into Indeedee, and really I have no choice but to switch. So I go into Victini to take the Expanding Force and to do some calcs, because here, oh wait. So here, depending on how much damage I take from Expanding Force, I can figure out if he is Choice Scarf or Choice Specs. And from that damage, I do find out that the Indeedee was in fact Choice Scarf, which is very useful information for me to know. And here, I can freely click the U-turn because Indeedee just dies because that's how much damage Victini was doing. So I can just switch out freely here, and he's forced to if he wants to keep this thing alive. So he goes into Araquanid, and I just click U-turn, and here I go into the Primate because at this point in time, I know that Araquanid is physically defensive, like max HP, max defense. And I don't knock it out with a Brave Bird, and he knocks me out in return with, or at least gets me really low with Liquidation or Leech Life. So I need to get more chip, and if I go into this and get in the U-turn off and go back out, then I have enough chip. So here he goes for Protect, just to scout, I'm assuming. I just go for the U-turn, and then turn 9 I just do the same thing again, and I go into the Swellow now, and he ends up going for Sticky Webs, which is not optimal once again, but he kind of had to make that play because for the Scolpede. So here I get a free Brave Bird on something, or a U-turn. Hindsight, I should have clicked a U-turn, but I decided to go for Brave Bird, and I find out he's Silvally Rock, which really surprised me because I was expecting Silvally Ground, because Silvally Rock was not the best play because Scolpede knocked it out with an Earthquake, and I was expecting Silvally Ground because that thing could eat up hits from Scolpede even at +2, because none of my moves hit it super effectively and Scolpede didn't get the coverage for that. So I expected Silvally Ground, but he ends up going for Silvally Rock, which is very useful information. So here I can't risk the multi-attack, so I just go for a U-turn and I go into Lycanroc, because I know he can't hit me with anything, even if he wants to go for like a Flame Charge or something. So he just Parting Shots and goes into Hoop-On Bound. And here, I think he was assuming that I died to a Drain Punch from Choice Scarf, and in the back of my head, I kept it in mind, but I also knew I would live one hit, and I did the calc, and I did live on 1%. So he goes to the Drain Punch, I live, and I just knock it out one play rough, which is really good for me, because now that thing was gone, and that was a big threat that I didn't need against my team. Now here, I just kind of let Lycanroc go down. It can't really do much more, and it did its job. And I can't Assault Rock because of Psychic Terrain, so the thing just goes down. Now Starmie comes in. I have to go for the Rapid Spin here, because I need the Sticky Webs gone. So I Rapid Spin, and that thing is gone. Now here, I think I made a big misplay. There, I probably should have just let the Starmie go down and then gone into Victini. But I decide to keep Starmie around. He goes for the Expanding Force, and now I'm down to 16%, so I do die to rocks. And now, you'll see later on why I should have just let Starmie go down. But now I go for the U-turn because I just get momentum here, and DD dies, like I said. So I get the crit. I mean, it didn't really matter because I just went straight into the Starmie, and I always outsped. So I just go for the Scald here. But it was interesting. Now, it was an interesting play. Now here he goes back into Ndidi, and I can't do anything. I just let Starmie go down. And now I go back into Victini because he still dies to a U-turn. And he goes Gligar. And I U-turn. And I go Primate for the Ice Punch, because Ice Punch 2-hit KOs this thing. So I go for the Ice Punch, and he goes for the Stealth Rocks. And basically after that, it's GG, because I can't get Scolipede in on a Araquanid or Gligar. But it was basically game over, because here I need to get Scolipede in, and I need this speed boost. Hindsight, I definitely should have just stayed in, because Ice Punch knocked it out. So he goes, let's say he goes Araquanid, this thing comes in, it's at -1 the first turn, sure. Or I go into Swellow, and I just knock out the Araquanid, but this was definitely not the play, because now I can't do anything to Gligar, and this thing just dies to rocks after coming, there goes Victini. Now I go back into, what's it called, the Primate, and here, I don't know what I was thinking, because I tried to overpredict, and I go for CC instead of the Ice Punch, predicting the Indeedee to come back in, which, it was definitely a stupid play on my part. I should have just gone for the Ice Punch, but I go for the Close Combat instead, and he does knock me out in return, and it's like, oh no, I've definitely lost. So I go into Swellow, because I can't hit these things anymore, and he just goes for the U-turn, and because Indeedee was scarfed, he just comes in and cleans up with the Expanding Force. The crit didn't matter. There was no way I was living that at how low health I was. And then in comes Scolipede, and down it goes to Expanding Force. So definitely not a great start to the season. We go 0-2, -7 differential. This game was definitely a lot closer, and the sets that he brought I almost had all of them right, which was good, but I still played that end game bad, because it goes back all the way to me switching into Victini, instead of just letting Starmie go down. Because one, if I let Starmie go down, then I go Victini and I just click U-turn and I switch on the Gligar switch in potentially. Or the Silvally Rock switch in, and then I could play around because I had more like sacrifices, because my end game was always to get Victini in against Indeedee, but as soon as I let it get too low to die to rocks, that was basically game, because I needed Victini for the U-turn, and by me switching out and then switching back in, that was a big misplay. Also, the fact that I didn't let Gligar go down earlier instead of trying to over-predict, that was a big misplay on my part as well. Because if Gligar goes down, I can deal with Araquanid, but I can't deal with Indeedee. So those two misplays were pretty big. It was still a great game. GG's to Josh. But yeah, we do go 0-2. That's about it, guys, though. Like I said, the normal scheduling for the videos will return next week. And we also have a few more things coming out starting next week as well. So if you guys did enjoy the video, please be sure to hit that like button and subscribe button, and I hope to see you guys next time. Peace.